Well, I don't know if you've moved house lately. We just moved house 3 weeks ago, and it's always a bit of an adventure, isn't it? You're living out of cardboard boxes and bags. You're not sure where anything is, and it's a bit of a journey of discovery. You're wondering why things are as they are in your new house. And we've got a bit of a conundrum, because you come downstairs at night, maybe you go into the kitchen for a drink, and some things are just bizarre. You stumble into the kitchen in the morning and you're trying to find the light switch and you just can't find it, and you're wondering where is it? And in the end, you remember that you have to pull the door, close it, and there it is in the corner, hidden away from view. And every time I go and fumble for the light switch, I think, why? Why did they put the light behind the door? What was their thinking? And so many issues of life just leave you wondering, well, why is it like that? And it's an interesting question, isn't it? When you start to think, why are we the way we are? Why is humanity as it is? And the Bible begins with this great phrase. You probably know it. It says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the biggest question of all, why are we here? Why do we exist? Why do we enjoy a nice sunset? Why do we delight in relationships? Is really answered in that phrase, in the beginning, God created. Because it shows us that He had a plan, He had a purpose, and all of life around us has intrinsic meaning. Science is a journey of discovery, isn't it? It's working out why things are as they are. Psychology seeks to understand the human mind and ask, why do we think the way we do? And yet, all of those questions can never quite reach the heart of the ultimate question. Why are we here? And so you come to that phrase, God created. In the beginning, it all began with Him. He started all that we see around us. He is the reason for my life. He's the reason that I live and breathe and have my being. And yet, the story doesn't end there. The psalmist puts it wonderfully. He says, the heavens declare the glory of the Lord, and the sky above proclaims His handiwork. And all of this, all around us, is declaring God is glorious. He's beyond our imaginations. It's just the merest reflection of who He is. And when you wake up in the morning and here by the sea, sometimes there are the most glorious sunrises, and then the sun sets over there towards the Irish Sea. And it's there, this glorious symphony of what God is like and who He is. And that's where life begins, with who He is, not who I am. Because that story of creation carries on. And it moves on then with God saying to Himself, the Trinity, in this beautiful dialogue. And God says, let us create man in our image. And He reveals wonderfully there who we are and what we're like. What am I at my very core? Am I just a living, breathing organism? Well, no, the Bible says I'm made in His glorious image. There's something of the glory of God within every human being. No matter how marred it is, it's there. Something of His beauty, something of His ability to relate. We are spiritual beings, and that comes from being in the image of God. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whatever you're like, there is something of the fingerprint of God upon your life. I love the way that each one of us just has these unique fingerprints. And that's the wonder of the story, that each one of us is made with God's fingerprint upon our lives. And one of the big issues of our day, of course, is this issue of self-worth. So many people, they don't know their intrinsic worth and value. And yet you begin at the beginning, go back to the start of the story, and you discover that every single person has a worth and a value, has a purpose, has a reason for living. And it all begins with God. I was reading an article just this week of a valley town in South Wales, 60,000 people. And in that town, 10,000 people apparently are on antidepressants. And I'm sure some of those are for medical reasons, but I wonder how many are because they simply don't know who they are and what they're worth in the mind of God. There's a great quote by C.S. Lewis, and he said that God never intended us to find our happiness apart from him. In fact, he said it's impossible because we were made to know God, made to love God, made to delight in who he is. And when we start to draw back and separate from him, true happiness is impossible. And so that's where the story of humanity begins, with knowing God, loving God, being made by God in his image. And it's where we find our worth and our value. The heavens declare the glory of the Lord, the sky above proclaims his handiwork. And the real wonder is that so do you and I.